Doobie doobie doo. Well, hello. Greetings. This is Mikey Bizan. I am doing a live stream, and I'm going to be live streaming, but yes. So I've decided that I'm going to start live streaming more often, as in more than never. But I want to start live streaming kind of every week, probably every single Sunday at a certain time, a time I have not yet decided on yet, and then, but every Sunday at a specific time to be determined, and aside from that, then it'll be spontaneous, random live streams throughout the week, just documenting my process on different animated projects or drawings or any kind of creative type of work that I'm doing that week. And Sundays will be more focused for doing this idea of art reviews. So basically, you can send me your drawings or animation or comics or anything that's a work in progress, and I'll look at it on the live stream and I'll talk about it, I'll give you my impressions, and I might even do some drawovers on it. And so I started a Discord that you can check out, that'll probably be in the comments after this live stream is done. You can check it out in the comments. But this thing on the screen right now is from the last live stream I did, which was all about animating smoke. There's like a little mini tutorial on there for how to animate smoke if you're interested in that. But for now, I'll just show you. So I had somebody sent me their like a children's book type thing they're doing for a portfolio, and this person will remain oblivious or anonymous, maybe not anonymous but oblivious, or maybe oblivious but not anonymous, I don't know. But anyways, this is like some different little thumbnails here. I'll zoom in so you can see it better, but it looks like the top row is like the first pass of just composition ideas, and then underneath it we have more fleshed out drawings of these three poses. You have 1, 2, 3 over here, and then on the bottom row it's like another pass at these ideas. So like right here you can see this one, there's this little character and the moon up there, and then you go down in this version the character's a bit bigger. So yeah, like the bigger one obviously puts more focus on the main character, whereas this one up here, there's more room for the background to kind of show, and it feels like we're more in the environment. So it kind of just depends on what you're trying to communicate. You can show the character feeling smaller with the bigger background, but you don't see the face as much. But when we get closer, we can kind of see the character's expression more. So I guess it kind of depends on the context of the story or what you're trying to show. But I'll just kind of show some ideas I have for how to kind of push these things further. And yeah, like up here I just drew like a really kind of rough perspective grid to show that this one, it's kind of like looking down on the character, but this tree is kind of flat, so you could kind of think about how to make the tree more coming up at us like this. Just kind of accent that angle more. And then over here, did a really good job on having the focal point be up here with this little moon area, and all the lines are coming towards this focal point, converging. So you did a really good job on getting that kind of focus there. And then we go down and this is like another pass. While I was looking at this, seeing some ways you could improve this one is, well, let me zoom in more. So you could make the character's expression a little bit more clear. It just depends on how intense you want the emotion to be. This one, like, it seems like he's kind of timid, but you could maybe make the mouth a little more timid, or accent the shape of the eyes a little bit more. And then also just look at references for hands and flashlight to get more detail for this area down here. And keep in mind the foreshortening and perspective. So this lens here of the light bulb, or not light bulb, but a flashlight, kind of think be more like this, where the shape would be kind of more at an angle as opposed to more flat on. So be something kind of like that. And then just cylindrical shape for the body part of the flashlight, and then have the hand would be wrapping around it like that. So the fingers would be kind of wrapping around it. And yep, I like this. I like you can see the little pose of the bird. You could even accent some of this a little bit. Like maybe I don't know how swoopy the birds want to be, but you can kind of feel the line of action and have them a little bit more swooped like that. But okay, and then over here, let me zoom out a little bit more. Right, so on this one, again, this is kind of like a spooky shot. And I know this character is kind of like an Animal Crossing proportions. So I kind of already drew like a rough thing here, where I thought this tree is like kind of a little bit stiff, and to convey the kind of spooky vibe, you could have it a little bit more S-shaped or swirly and spooky. And then the character down here, it's a little bit unclear where the character is looking. So the eyes are kind of like right here, but you might want to have the eyes like looking more to the side where they're walking. And maybe I do like the mouth a little bit open, like he was kind of scared. And then just kind of maybe have some stuff in the foreground that helps to frame the character a little bit. So I just kind of do some little bushes, or I don't know, shrubs or whatever. And of course you can, whatever type of design elements you are putting in this forest, you can repeat them and like just to develop your own kind of design language. So like down here I gave these little shrubs like 3 little like spines or veins or whatever down here. So then like I repeated it back here in the background with another one of these plants that have 3 little inner spines. And it's not like a real plant, but you kind of just develop your own thing going on there. And I see you got like a scary spooky owl eyes in there, which is super cool. And then just kind of articulate whatever creature this is in the background. There's like another creature back here. I would just articulate it and make it clear what this is. And yeah, just like go over stuff and go over it on a couple other passes. And doing amazing. Good job, good job. And then over here for this one, walking, thinking you got these cool clouds that are going in this diagonal type of shape. So you could kind of accent this a little bit, and I would probably maybe even make it a little more swoopy. Again, this depends on, of course, the design aesthetic and the overall style of your project. But I would kind of make the clouds kind of a little spindly, or because it seems like this character's kind of scared. So just like doing things that feel a little bit more haunted. And then I guess figuring out where to put the moon. I mean, it could go somewhere right around here, but then the moon and the character is lined up on the exact same vertical, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's a little bit samey. But I see you have it like roughed out here, but now the cloud's covering that. Or you can make the moon like more in the center, almost like peeking out from the clouds, possibly, since the character is off to the side. I don't know, you'll just have to figure out where to put the moon. And then I would maybe kind of accent the shape of this hill here. Just like have stuff pushed out a little bit more, and then of course define whatever these shapes are around the terrain, and also keep in mind the 3D shape of things, which I know this is more like children's book illustration, so it can be more flat, but you can have some parts that are accenting the 3D nature of stuff. And then like this grass that's in the foreground, of course, can be a little bit bigger, and then of course it gets smaller as it goes away. And I see you have some stuff here in the foreground on another plane, and that can help add a little bit more depth and perspective into this thing. And again, you might not want it to be too busy, but then it's cool how the trees are going up like this. Maybe want to keep that going on with the other trees too. A little bit more. Just have the trunks be a little bit bigger. That triangular shape you have going. And then probably figure out some type of design to repeat for these branches, the leaves. But when I'm having doubt, I usually just pair things in 3, since 3 tends to be a happy number to draw things with. So like patterns of 3 tend to look pretty appealing, in my opinion. And I like this character. He's cute. It's like a cute little Animal Crossing type character. But yeah, good job. I don't really have that much more to say about this one, because I feel like it's like the idea is here, and of course you can always exaggerate things a little bit more, just a touch more with the perspective and the angles, push things just a little bit. But of course you don't want to push it so much that it becomes a Looney Tune character. But you can maybe have the eyebrows going up just a tiny bit more to really show that he is scared. Just really make sure that the emotions are clear. Well, yeah, good job. What's up, Angie K? Good to see you. Yep, anyways, great job. I'm gonna start trying to do these reviews every Sunday, so you can join the Discord and send me your stuff. I'll have the Discord link posted in the comments and the description after this video is live. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to get in the habit of doing this kind of stuff. Try to get better at it. Get better at helping people, and also trying to get less rusty myself. And so the rest of the stream, I'm gonna be working on some animation, and for now I'm gonna be working on this pack of kind of trippy, goopy type of loops. I'll show you. This one is a finished one. Of course, I might change the colors, but it's called Magic Ink, and these will be just like kind of abstract, loosey-goosey, animated straight ahead, like liquidy type things. And I'm animating at least 9 of these. So like you can see, this is one layer. So I do all this on one pass. And then I go over on another animation pass and I add highlight layer to give it a little bit more dimensionality. What's up, Victor? Do you know what romantic love feels like? I guess so, yeah. Romance? Sure. Why do you ask? And this, so I'll just show you all the rest of these that I have in here, and then I'm going to show you my process for animating one of these. So, okay, this is actually kind of a better demonstration of the process. This is like a super rough pass right here. And then I go over it on another layer. And, oh, this one's not colored in yet. Never mind. That wasn't the best example. We got this one. What I want to do is eventually layer these, duplicate them a bunch like Lego blocks, and make something like really weird and multifaceted. But anyways, I'm gonna just start out thinking about this. I'm gonna draw a motion pass first. Then show you the process. I'm gonna create a held layer. All right. So the idea here, do like a rough little sketch. The idea here is I want to have something that's like, it's gonna shoot up and hold on. No. It's gonna go like this. Then go over here. And then curve around. And then link up back to the beginning. And I'm just gonna draw like really rough timing chart to remind myself, like right here it's gonna be eased in, going slower. Then it's gonna speed up and then decelerate here, and then slow out or ease out into a faster with wider spacing. This is the acceleration phase. And then it's gonna more or less keep its speed as it goes around. It's gonna get a little slower on the curve, and then just zoom back up and then slow back over here. So this is my motion path guide, and I'm basically gonna be basing the animation on this. Okay. So I'm just doing like little blobby things. So it's kind of less stressful to just animate weird little blobby stuff because you don't have proportions or like specific parts of a character to deal with. But basically I'm just gonna draw straight ahead, and I'm gonna go over on and do more in-betweens later, but for now I'm literally just getting some keyframes in here. It's almost like a bouncing ball type of shape, and it stretches on when it's going faster, and then it's gonna get more returning to its regular circular shape. But I'm also gonna have the volume expanding and stuff, so it's not gonna really be like a perfect type of bouncing ball where you'd want the volume to remain consistent. You know, as it stretches, it gets skinnier. As it squashes, it gets wider, but it maintains its overall volume. This one, I'm kind of just doing whatever I want because it's like this kind of magical liquid type of thing. And I'm gonna have it break apart here and stretch. And it's going to be going fast around this curve. Just see what it looks like so far. Whoop, I gotta lower this frame rate. I'll lower it to 6 frames per second for now. What is your interpretation? Oh boy, I don't know. My brain can't. Romantic love. Like, romantic love. Romantic love. It depends on what you mean by romantic. I wasn't prepared for such questions. Have been trying to sometimes watch romantic movies, I guess. Like Jane Austen. Sometimes I've seen a few of those ones. I've noticed most romantic movies, of course, most movies in general, conflict is the driving force of the story. Conflict is the engine that propels the story forward. Without conflict, you don't have a very interesting story, usually. These are just like the common formula for stories is you have to have conflict and characters that want something and an obstacle or antagonist that prevents them from getting that thing that they want. So with romance movies, the thing that the main character wants is find true love. So of course the obstacle has to be everything that prevents that from happening. And I've noticed that the main thing that prevents that from happening is miscommunication. And I've noticed that these Jane Austen movies, so much pain and suffering comes from characters not being completely honest, or they say things that they don't really mean on the surface. So it's a lot of subtext. It's what is the character saying versus what is the character really saying. And so I'm watching those, I'm like, well, all your problems would be solved if you all just said what you need to say. But then there'd be no movie. So you have to have miscommunications. And of course, miscommunication is inevitable. Even if you weren't speaking in code, like a lot of the fancy Jane Austen characters do, their flowery language, conflict is inevitable because we're imperfect creatures. And sometimes we don't even know what we're trying to say. I guess that doesn't answer your question. Love is loops. I agree with that. Love is a thought loop. It's a thought loop. Well, so yeah, another reason I like doing these kind of goopy loopy stuff is it's really fast just to get anything going. And it's appealing and generally fun to look at because it's just the joy of pure raw motion. It's just movement, raw movement. There's no character, there's no mind, there's no nothing. It's just physics of something weird that you can move your hand around and dazzle the eyeballs, dazzle the eye cells. And it also kind of works well for live event visuals because if you don't have a super clear theme that you're animating, then it actually has a pretty wide application for different uses. Like an abstract shape can be used in a rave dance party just as it could be hung up in a dentist's office. But if you have a specific subject matter, like say the beach with like a sandcastle, then that's just so incredibly specific that it doesn't have as wide of an application of uses. But the pro to that, of course, is that if someone wants a sandcastle on a beach, well then that's what they want. So I need to copy and paste my first frame and bring it up to the end here so I can get this looping correctly. Copy and paste it right here. And yep, this is for a VJ pack, and the smoke thing was for a VTuber, a client who wanted a custom animation of their character smoking something. And yeah, I'm just kind of doing loop commissions and also working on my own stuff right now. Alright, this should be looping correctly by now. Right on, right on. Alright. So it kind of, I'm gonna add. So when I start out here, this you can see the spacing is way wider than when it's coming over here. So right over here, I can pretty much add one in between and it'll be fine. But at the beginning here, I need to add more frames. So I'm gonna go to add exposure, get the timing better on this. Delete the middle. But yeah, I'm gonna be live streaming every day, possibly. Well, here's the thing about making plans. Sometimes I make plans and then I forget that I made the plans, if I'm doing it under the pressure of speaking and drawing at the same time. But I'm going to probably live stream almost every day or possibly every day. I don't know. And just so you can see a fossil record of what I'm working on. And you can also draw along or do your own thing at the same time. Because I like to listen to live streams or just like even people just playing video games or something while I'm working. It's one thing. Working on art can be a very isolating activity. You're often alone while doing it. Or even if you're with other people, you still have to be in your own head to think about what you're making. But especially if you're literally physically alone, like I am, just alone in my apartment, that can be pretty isolating even for a super introvert like myself. So just hearing the voice of other living creatures, it helps you to feel less alone. Also, I like listening to live streams of other people who are basically alone live streaming because there's a certain camaraderie with it, where you feel like your two aliens in your own spaceships receiving messages from each other. Even if geographically you're far away, it can feel like you're less far away. Because talking, it transmits ideas into the listener's mind. So I'm literally using my consciousness to make little sounds out of my mouth that enter your brain and change your own consciousness. It's really strange, isn't it? That we can affect each other's conscious experience just by talking to each other. It's kind of like a form of magic or alchemy. These words that we say are really literally spells that we cast on people. You can make a spell that gets someone to empty the dishwasher just by getting the correct words out and the correct inflection and tone and body language. You can say things and people will either they'll have their own response. Sometimes that response will be the opposite of what you want. And that, in a way, is still having an influence on them because they're acting in opposition to what you're saying, which is also a really strange thing to think about. What is up? K44 Bon, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, I'm just kind of making, like, I guess you could call this 2D effects for sure. Just like abstract animation. But yeah, this is the power of having a motion guide. Just having something on a held layer that shows the path of action, especially when you're doing kind of trippy straight ahead stuff where you don't have key poses. It helps make sure that whatever you're drawing is going to end up where you want it to. In this case, I wanted it to become a seamless loop. So this helps get that motion in. So I don't really need this back thing anymore. So now the next thing I normally do after I get the main shapes in is just do another look at it. And of course I'll polish this up, later. And then I'm going to select all the frames and flip them horizontally. So that now when I'm going over adding the in-betweens, I'll also be able to look at the shapes from a fresh perspective and notice if anything kind of sticks out awkwardly. Even like when doing more abstract effects type stuff, it still matters. Like if something looks good flipped both ways, then that's how you know that the design is probably working. But if you flip it and it suddenly looks really weird, then that means that you didn't catch what was looking weird, because often we can kind of just get used to whatever we're drawing. Yeah, I'm gonna turn the light box off now, and I guess I'm kind of polishing up some of these lines, but really I should probably do the in-betweens first and then go over and polish up all the lines. So I'm actually gonna not worry about that right now, but let's just see here. I'm going to now save, and then I'm gonna duplicate all the frames. I'm currently working on a lightning tutorial. Been watching a lot of lightning videos. I'm gonna post a lightning PDF ebook tutorial on my Patreon and also on animatedloop.com/courses, where I currently have a fire course. It's the only animation course I've made so far. But the fire course is 2 hours. It has 10 videos. It teaches you how to animate fire, flames, smoke, and candles, and how to rotoscope fire in a way that is appealing and create strong shape design. And that course also comes with 22 fire loops that you can use in your own projects. But I'm trying to work on more kind of specific streamlined courses. So the next one will be like a short little mini course on how to animate lightning and electricity. So when I do the in-betweens, I usually zoom in a little bit, not like to 100%, but just to where I can be sure that I'm getting a smooth transition between shapes. But as you could see before, when I was drawing the main animation, I was not zoomed in, because you wanna see the full scope of the poses a little better when you're blocking in stuff. If you're zoomed in all the way when you're trying to block in stuff, then you lose a lot of perspective and your judgment becomes a little warped. And I'm also looking at the previous 2 frames on my onion skinning or light box so that I can judge the spacing between these frames, make sure that things are not going to be stuttering if you have things that are too close and then randomly too far away. I want to make sure there's a smooth transition between close and far away, or fast and slow motion. Have things progressively accelerate. As in nature, things rarely just start or stop at full speed. Either unless it's like a robot, or even like machines though, like a car for instance, obviously can't start out at full speed. It has to accelerate and get up to that point. And this is even more so with organic living things. I don't know how some people stream for hours and hours. The last stream I did was 47 minutes, and I could have sworn it was 4 hours long. I guess I'm just not used to talking this long. When I am talking, it feels like time slows down. It might be because it uses so much brain power, at least for me. I know some people can just talk effortlessly. Though it's become easier the more I've done it. So now it's going to start slowing down. And these are all going to be a solid block of color. So I'm not really concerned about this sort of messy line work because it's not going to have lines when it's colored. It's more about the overall mass and the shape. But if you're just getting into animation, just animating like blobby, circular, liquidy things is really a good way to practice. And it's also a little bit less intimidating than doing complicated characters. And of course, you can always say, turn this into a character later. I mean, you could add a face to it, you give it eyeballs. Basically, if you give anything an eye, it immediately becomes alive. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's see how this is gonna look animated so far. Alright, give it a little save. Zoom out. Oh, I gotta up the frame rate. So this should be on 15 frames a second now. Basically, the output is going to be on 30 frames a second, but I'm animating this on 2s. So you just divide that by 30 and it's 15 drawings per second. So that's looking pretty good, that beginning part. Alright, I can live with that. Zoom back in a little bit. I hope you can enjoy the relaxing Sonic music in the background. I've been having a little insomnia lately. Sometimes I put on some music to try to fall asleep, but when I put on Sonic or Radiohead, the stuff I usually listen to in my waking hours, sometimes it just makes me want to dance, or it just gets me a little bit too excited. So I have to put on something else. Something else that helps is rain sounds. So I'll sometimes find like nature sounds to try to take my mind off my own thoughts. Sometimes that doesn't work. The last thing I tried that worked was actually Bob Ross videos. There was a 24-hour live stream of Bob Ross painting. That actually chilled me out. Just hearing the sounds of the brush strokes and he kept saying there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. That was making me feel very at peace. No mistakes. Your life is just a happy accident. So I hope, I'm not saying that this stream is in any way an equivalent to, say, Bob Ross, but I hope that if you're having insomnia, just know you're not alone. And we're all in this life experiment together. The thing that sucks about insomnia, of course, is that you're so tired, but you can't fall asleep. And then, of course, there's the type of insomnia where you don't feel tired, but you actually are still sleep deprived, even if your brain is racing and your body doesn't feel tired. Your energy is actually depleted. There's a higher level of cortisol, which is probably why you don't feel tired, is because you have these stress hormones that are circulating, keeping you up with anxiety. And of course, the more tired you are, the less active your prefrontal cortex is, which is a snowball effect because your frontal lobes are literally what helps to calm you down when you're feeling stressed. It's the part of the brain that allows you to regulate your own emotions. So when this part of the brain is basically offline, then it's a feedback loop of you're feeling more stressed, and then you can't calm yourself down from the stress, and that stresses you out more as well. This little goopy part on the butt shoots out. It's like a little particle. I'm going to have this kind of go on an arc, and then it's going to shrink. And it's going to dissipate. Just doing this straight ahead. Brush. see what that looks like. What's up, Angel Wallflower? Very nice watching artists at work. Well, thank you for watching. Are you also... I feel like I recognize your name. Do you also make art or animation or anything? I was watching a bunch of live streamers yesterday while I was working, just kind of clicking around, seeing what people were working on. And sometimes people don't always respond to you because they're focusing. And on my first couple live streams, I basically never looked at the chat because I was so worried about not talking the whole time. And I'm really bad at multitasking, so I just kind of never crossed my mind to look at the chat. So I'm trying to be more cognizant of the chat and also be more like a human being. That's why I have this camera up, so you can see that I'm a real person, not just a thing that's making images appear on the screen. And so yeah, yesterday I was kind of jumping into people's chats and looking at live streamers, and this one person, when I commented on their art, on their storyboards, saying they're doing a good job, and I liked their dynamic expressions, and they saw my username that it had the word animation in it. They're like, "Oh, do you do animation?" And so then they, on stream, actually checked out one of the animations I worked on while they were streaming. I thought that was really sweet and cool. Nice. And I guess I'll give them a shout out. Oh, well, I don't. Okay, so I don't necessarily remember their username. I think it was something. Well, okay, well, whatever. Well, anyways, they're a patron now, so I'm gonna shout them out on the next video at the end of the video. But yeah, just like I always like meeting other people who make stuff. I've noticed they're usually just as anxious as I am. You know, like when you're meeting a snake, the snake is more afraid of you than you are of it. So I try to imagine that you, despite how intimidating I might seem, I'm actually not that scary. You have been in here before. Oh, wait, yes, you've been in here before. Artist 2, you're not a clone of you with AI. Nice. Yes. That's a real concern now. When I was, yeah. Okay. Huh. Yeah. My brain's malfunctioning. I was going to say something and then I forgot what I was going to say. Whew. Adding in-betweens is a little tedious, but at least it's not really that hard mentally. It's more like spiritually hard, because it feels like you're not being as creative, but it is still a very vital part of the process. So that's not to diminish any part of the process. After I get these in-betweens in, I'm going to color all these a flat color. Then the final step is I'm going to do pretty simple white highlights, cel shaded on its own layer. I don't know how some of those people live stream for so many hours. I drink so much water. I've seen some of them, they like don't even go to the bathroom sometimes for a really long time. I could never do that. I also noticed that whenever I live stream, I feel like my throat is really tired, like all day. Even if I only live stream for 40 minutes or an hour, it just kind of makes me feel like a wimp. Because I know so many people that work like a conventional job, they're basically talking all day. I suppose it's something like anything where the more you do it, the more you become acclimated to it. Because I know like some people, you know, they would think that drawing for 8 to 10 hours would be really physically taxing. And, I mean it is, but if you're used to it, you kind of build up a sort of stamina to an extent. Of course, like carpal tunnel doesn't really care how much stamina you have. So it's very important if you are an artist, or I mean really anyone that works at a desk, so really just anyone, to take frequent breaks and to stretch your arms. I've definitely noticed when I don't do my daily stretches, sometimes I wake up in the night and my forearms are numb. Sometimes I have a stinging feeling around my forearms and elbow area. Which is cubital tunnel syndrome. Never really had carpal tunnel symptoms, but the cubital tunnel is what I have to watch out for. Doobie doobie doo. Oh yeah, the other live stream I was watching yesterday was a 6-hour playthrough of all the classic Sonic the Hedgehog games. So Sonic 1, CD, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles. Which is another topic I've watched way too many videos of on YouTube. I think because I've played those games so much, I just really enjoy hearing other people's impressions and opinions, see what zones people enjoy and why they like it, their thoughts on the soundtracks. I just like hearing about things that I've spent so much time enjoying and consuming and thinking about. It's so exciting to get a fresh perspective on something that you feel like you know inside out. It kind of keeps it feeling new and fresh. But it's also not just something new and fresh, because something new and fresh feels like it's also kind of stressful because it's new and unfamiliar. So you have to use extra thinking power to concentrate and absorb it. But if it's something you're familiar with, you can consume it at a more leisurely pace and pick apart the nuanced details that you missed on your first encounter with it. So that's why I often really enjoy rewatching a movie, sometimes even more or considerably more than the first time I watched it. Despite the fact that if you've seen a movie before, then, well, you know everything that's going to happen, so in a way you're spoiled on it. You know all the spoilers. But you can watch it more from an editor's perspective, or from a writer's perspective, or a director's perspective, and really try to reverse engineer and think about how they made the film and why does it work, and why does this scene make you feel a certain way, or maybe even from negative example, why did you dislike this, and what would you do differently? If that's engaging with media critically instead of passively, being more active with it, that is fun. Because I guess part of why it's fun too is it almost feels like work. And that probably says something about my psychology, that I feel like I always have to be working or have anxiety. but it's sort of how I hack my relaxation time, is to consider it as part of the research. Even like playing a video game, trying to think about the little animations and everything that went into the game. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because how can you, otherwise it just feels too like you're not fully there. I mean, well, okay, so yeah, sometimes it is good though too not to be trying to, analyze stuff too much and just enjoy it, which is really how I enjoy the first pass of something. So the first time I watch a movie, I'm not trying to think at all about how it was made or anything analytical about it beyond the plot and what you're watching in the moment. Oof. Oh yeah. How long have I been streaming? Let's see if I can see this chat thing. My eyesight sucks. I have my laptop open for chat. Let's see here. You've been streaming for about 50 minutes now. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Angie K's gameplay streams go up to 6 hours? That's amazing. I don't know how you do that. How do you do that? That's a lot. At least they went that high when I was playing through Pokemon Scarlet. Pokemon games. They are addicting. Hard to put down once you get rolling. I very active mind too. Always need something happening. As soon as I wake up until finally dozing off in contemplation. Wow. So many kindred spirits. That game sucks. Oh wait, no. That game sucks me in. Nice. I have not played it. What's up? Hassan. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce names, but it says, hi, what are you doing? Is that sunglasses? What is the software? Software is TV Paint, and these are my cool glasses. Well, okay, what these are is actually blue light blockers. So, yeah, they help to block the blue light from screens, and it's supposed to help with eye fatigue. I think it definitely does. I noticed, like, when I started wearing these in the night when I'm using screens, I feel like it does. Like, I definitely get less headaches now, but that's what they are. Yeah. But, yeah, so, anyone coming late, whoa, am I... Oh, wow. Okay. I have 7 watches. That's amazing. So, yes. So, after this is posted, I'm going to put in the description and the pinned comment a link to Discord, which is going to be an artist / animator, comic maker, whatever, visual artist type of Discord, where you can post work in progress, or like things you want for art critiques, or just reviews or impressions. And every Sunday, I'm going to be showing your work and just talking about it, or doing little quick drawovers or any kind of impressions, just if you want a second pair of eyes on your stuff. And that's what I'm going to be doing on Sundays. I was thinking I might do it like 8 o'clock every Sunday, maybe 4 o'clock, I don't know. Probably 8 o'clock in the nighttime on Sundays. And then throughout the week, I'm going to be actively live streaming just at random times, just whenever. So yeah, definitely check on the live stream tab on YouTube to catch up on stuff. and I'm going to be working on a short film eventually soon that I'll be documenting the process of drawing thumbnails, storyboards, rough animation, etc. that you can keep up on the process for that. And yeah, and also like little tutorials and stuff like that. Maybe like look at some classic cartoons on live stream. I recently watched this one by Van Buren. I might be mispronouncing that, but he had the Fable Studios, which was a competitor to Disney. Well, I mean, everyone was a competitor to Disney, but in the 1930s. And they did these short films called The Rainbow Parade, and it was basically like a spiritual successor or rival to Disney's Silly Symphonies. They're just like silly short films that are kind of driven by music. Not always, but maybe less driven by the music than the Silly Symphonies. But it's a similar type of spirit of just pure rubber hose joy. And one of them, Panic Picnic, for instance, heavily inspired Cuphead. You can check it out on YouTube. I think it's called Picnic Panic. And yeah, like the Elder Kettle, his prototype design is literally the kettle character in that film. And there's even like some little cup characters who are very reminiscent of Cuphead. And yeah, it's like definitely a huge inspiration on Cuphead, as was iWorks, of course, and all Felix the Cat, all those classic 1920s, 1930s rubber hose stuff. But yeah, it's pretty appealing, like pretty weird, which is kind of the vibe I am enjoying a lot at the moment. So I'm wanting to make a cartoon that's basically a rubber hose short film that will not necessarily be like a spiritual successor to all that stuff, but it's the rubber hose style, but like with a little bit more epic, or not epic, but like a coherent type of storyline. But it'll still be weird, but it won't just be like gags. It'll have like a beginning, middle, and end. And because I want to try to start working on more narrative stuff, as opposed to just stream of consciousness, dream content all the time, which I enjoy doing. But I feel like animation is more than just weird or interesting visuals. Nothing wrong with that, but as a storytelling medium, there's a lot of potential there that I feel like I have not been able to experiment with at the depth that I'd like to. So that's going to be something to focus on this year. Blender for 2D animation. Yeah, yep. I just started kind of trying to learn Blender. That's cool. Yeah, like I know some people have some custom brushes and stuff. Do you have any brushes you like to use? Because I found that, at least for cleanup, the brushes are a little bit wonky or like janky a little bit, but it might just be my setup. But I've been seeing some cool stuff, even 2D stuff people make in Blender. I did just get, around my birthday, around Black Friday, I got what's the thing called that can run Procreate? An iPad. I got an iPad Air, and I really haven't used it at all yet. I've just turned it on to make sure it works, because I realized you have to get a Apple Pencil, and so yeah. But eventually I'd like to start messing around in Procreate as well. I've seen some people do animation in there, but I mainly just want it for the brushes try to make some cool backgrounds and just like do some backgrounds in Procreate and then export it and send it to myself, and I'll put it into TV Paint for the backgrounds and then animate over it. But the main reason, well, that's kind of the main reason I got an iPad, but the other main reason I got an iPad is this music software, Korg Gadget. It's on the Switch, and I got that full price for $60. And of course they ran a sale right after I got it for Black Friday where it was like half off. But I got Korg Gadget on my Switch, really enjoying playing with that. It's got a lot of cool electronic instruments. You can do like classic video game music, you can do chiptune. But issue with the Switch version is that you can't, there's no way to transport the songs onto your computer or to send it to yourself. They're just trapped on your Switch. So the workaround I found to that was to hook my Switch up to OBS with the Elgato cam card. Then I just have to play the song in the Switch and then record it via OBS. But that's really kind of a hassle to get your songs over. So I wanted to buy Korg Gadget on desktop. Well, of course my computer is too old to run Korg Gadget now on their site, and yeah, so I saw that I would have to gotten a new computer to run it. And then also the other thing was that Korg Gadget on desktop was like $300, so I'd have to get a whole new computer and then another $300 just to get this Korg Gadget on computer. But then I saw on the iPad you can get Korg Gadget for $19. You can literally just download it from the App Store for $19. So that's kind of, I was like, well, that's a workaround. But then I realized, well, I don't have an iPad. So I had to spend $800 to buy an iPad so that I could get Korg Gadget for $19. Then I realized I just spent a lot of money to get Korg Gadget for $19. So it wasn't really $19. So I'm a little sad, but of course you can do the Procreate on the iPad, and so that's why I'm telling myself that's the main reason I got an iPad. Let's do Procreate. I would like it if Procreate came out on the Mac. That would be very convenient to have stuff just on one system, one operating system. Background sounds are heard badly. Like, please, please, please. Huh? I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the pencil? Is it this? That one? The drawing part? Not sure what you mean. I have background music. It's Sonic stuff, but I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what I can do about that. My microphone's right here. Try to move it away from my Cintiq a little bit. But yeah, I'd like to know. The music quality is a bit sus. Oh my god. Oh my god. Has it been that way the whole time? Oh. So I'm on Spyro. Does it still sound sus? Because I think I have heard it where it gets all glitchy before and I have to restart stuff. Ooh. Bananamation and Onion Skin says rigging and mesh deformation in upcoming 2.0. It's my favorite non-desktop animation app. Ooh. Nice. Well, I definitely need to learn it. My only experience with rigging is in Moho. I've just done like some very, very simple squash and stretchy type puppets in there. So I would like to kind of eventually do kind of a hybrid between certain things that are rigged and regular frame by frame hand drawn. Like have mechanical machines with rigged parts and then like animate by hand effects like smoke or steam puffing out of the machine. I feel like there's strengths to all types of animation. Oh man. Well, I'll find out on playback what the issue with the audio was. That's too bad. In that case, I might turn it off. See how this works right now. Okay, just a couple in-betweens left. Alright, bring back my timeline. Okay, I think I'm just about ready to color this in. Let me give it a little save. Alright. Quick tip on coloring in TV Paint. Create a new layer. Create the color you want to fill in. Drag out the color layer all the way to the end. Click the paint bucket tool on the screen, somewhere it won't touch the line work. Then select all the frames and then click enter or return on your keyboard, and it'll automatically repeat the flood fill process to fill in the entire screen. And this saves a lot of time. Next up, go to your flood bucket tool, select color to erase, put it on the erase mode, then go to your source and select above. Now it'll erase everything above that's below the line work tool. So now I'm gonna just hit this bottom corner where it won't touch the line work, and then I'm gonna select all the frames, and I'm gonna click return or enter on the keyboard, and it's going to automatically fill in all the frames. This is much quicker than having to go by frame on your keyboard and trying to color in everything. So now everything's filled in. Of course, I'm already noticing there's some, like, I'll zoom in more. You can see like this isn't very nice, this line work, because I did it so fast. There's little parts that I need to smooth over frame by frame. This kind of stuff I will zoom in all the way because I've already got all the proportions and everything drawn. Now it's just a matter of touching up things. So in this case I can zoom in to 100% without, being worried that I'm going to be having odd in-betweens or odd proportions on stuff. But I'll actually go over on my own when I'm not streaming and do this thing because it's a little tedious and not really necessary to worry about right now. I'm going to lock these layers so I don't actually gently draw on it. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to go to white, and this will be my cel shade layer. Zoom in a little bit. And I guess the light is going to be coming up from the kind of upper left. Wow, I've streamed for 70 minutes. That's amazing. I can't believe that. So this, I'm just going to be drawing in like a little highlight thing. And of course this one, as you can see, I'll be filling it in later. So it'll look like this when it's done. But I'll do that on its own pass. We'll also probably have some light down here. I'm just going to be going over frame by frame, not even worrying about my light box right now. Just going one frame at a time. I spent the weekend working on your cloud animation tutorial. I don't have it down quite yet, but I'm getting there. Thanks for posting. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that I could help. And I don't know if you heard, but I mentioned that I'm going to be making a Discord. So come back to this video after the VOD is up, and there'll be a link to join the Discord. Which, yes, me and my animation partner are setting up a Discord. Never actually really used Discord, so I'm kind of having my partner kind of spearhead this. But on Discord, you can post your stuff. You can post your cloud animation if you want, and I can, like, next Sunday I'll try to go over it. Maybe give you another pair of eyes to look at it. So now, as this thing is stretching, you'll notice that I'm also stretching the highlight. Basically, the highlight is influenced by the body of the mass of this thing I'm making. So the highlight doesn't exist in isolation of what it rests on, but rather it is part of it. So it's getting stretched out and skinny now. I'm actually going to have it kind of start to slow down. The highlight is going to be not catching up with the rest of it. I'm going to have it sort of disappear as the back end of this blob keeps going. The highlight is going to be shrinking until it just becomes like a little spectral light. And it's going to gradually get smaller and smaller till it disappears. Let's see what this looks like so far. Alright, that looks pretty cool. And as I have these highlights kind of disappear, I'm going to have other highlights that are starting to emerge to counter it. It's going to start to come up from the bottom here and stretch apart. Start to come back up, kind of taking the space that previous highlight was taking. Oh yeah, this you can see I'm definitely going to need to come up and polish this up, those outlines. Turn my light box on a little bit so I can get a nice transition of these highlights. Alright, so as this is growing, this highlight is kind of following its shape, getting a little bit wider and globular. And it's going to break apart from the mass. And the highlight will dissipate with this little orb that is shrinking now. My pen a little smaller. All right, let's see what this looks like so far. Whew. All right. making pretty good progress here. But yeah, just doing these kind of trippy effect stuff, you can get a finished thing done in a single day, and that'll help, especially like I was saying before, if you're just starting out with animation. It's a little less intimidating. And I mean, this is like 60 frames. You don't even have to do one that's this many frames. But getting anything completed, even if it's like a random type of effects animation, it's very encouraging to have something completed, especially with animation, where, say, if you were making a short film, like a 3-minute short film, that could easily take several months to a year. Say it's your your college thesis. You could spend a really long time on that. So just having something completed, like even if it's just a short little loop, it's very important to be encouraged as an animator, because it can be so daunting and you just feel like you spend so much time for just a couple seconds of work, and it is hard, but animation is worthwhile because there's nothing more magical than being able to project your thoughts onto a screen for other people to see. Because we can all think of cool stuff, we can all have really interesting, crazy dreams, but all that stuff just exists in your own head. No one else will ever experience it the way you do. But animation bridges that gap between dreams that are trapped in your head and dreams that you can project into other people's heads, and those dreams can be fused into their dreams, and you're trading dreams back and forth. And I suppose it's similar to reading a book, but of course with a book, the words are rather abstract symbols or suggestions of what to think about. But the author really doesn't have precise control over what the person is envisioning in their head. That's why when you see a movie from a book you read, the movie is always very different than the way you saw it in your head, because the movie is someone else's dream or interpretation of the source material. But with animation, there's no room for misinterpretation. Rather, you're seeing the exact same images, and of course how people experience those images or interpret the meaning of those images is of course more subjective. You're going to have differences, and that's all good and great and everything, but it's like the closest you can get to literally just putting thoughts from your head into someone else's, like visually. Even more so than a painting or a still image, because you can't convey the motion with a still image. Or a comic. Like a comic, you can convey a lot of story depth, but how long someone actually looks at a panel is still completely up to them. With animation, you have precise control over how long someone looks at something, down to the very frame, and it's the same for every single person that watches it. The clip that you're making exists for 96 frames every single time. It will never not be 96 frames for the end of time. It's an objective fact of reality. Whereas with a comic, a panel might last for 2 seconds for one person. Another person might look at it for half a second because they just want to get on with the story. Another person might look at it for 20 minutes because they're doing a study of that panel and they're analyzing it and redrawing it themselves. So this isn't to say one is superior to the other, but rather that every art form excels at what it excels at. And of course, animation excels at communicating motion, and it's the only visual art form that does that, because comics, you can suggest motion in a still image, but you can't actually see the motion. Whew. Well, I'll probably you get the idea of what's happening here. Probably finish this up tomorrow, but yeah, just come back when the VOD is gonna be up in just a minute after I close this out, and I'll post the Discord link. Also, Patreon memberships are 50% off until the end of the month, so February 28th. Just figured out how to do that in Patreon, where you can add a membership discount thingy. So if you sign up before the 28th, then the first month will be half off, basically. And from the Patreon feed, you can download tutorials, and I'm going to be posting a lightning ebook that's going to show you how to draw and animate lightning. And yeah, so just if you are an artist, please feel free to join the Discord, where you can post your stuff and I'll look at it, and I'll probably try to talk about it next Sunday at a certain time. Not sure yet, but I'll post on the community tab on Facebook, or YouTube rather, you know, when the time will be, when the live stream will be. So just plan on coming back, and yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.